Hi, I'm Ann Humphreys, and we're here on location in Sesquicentennial State Park. Today I'm going to recite the title poem to the book. It's called An Eclipse and a Butcher. It's right in the middle of the book, and it's maybe the first poem for which I won an Emerging Voices Award, called An Eclipse and a Butcher. Howard Bryce had a soft spot for our mother. He'd plug wedges in watermelon for our family to taste. He'd drawl, "No good, no sale." Bryce's Mercantile was one of only 2 grocery stores in the county seat, population 397, in that remote Texas hill country. Saturdays, my mother, whom people said was more beautiful than Jacqueline Kennedy, piled 4 of us into the 58 station wagon. No seatbelts, no air conditioning, to drive the 13 miles past summer camps and tourist cabins to the tiny market on the courthouse square. When we pulled in, we kids tumbled out to race through the screen door. Not yet 10, I was entrusted to order our usual 3 pounds of hamburger. As I approached the lighted case, Mr. Bryce sang out, "How is Miss Ann today?" And we talked about the great white Pyrenees puppy he had given our family. I watched as raw red meat coiled from his grinder and how he scooped a quivering pink pile onto a silver scale, wrapped it in white paper, and flourished the price with a black wax pen. He slid it to me gently, and I thanked him as I had been taught, found our mother with our little brother in her overflowing buggy, and then joined my 2 other sisters at the candy counter. That was July 20th, 1963. At checkout, we asked Mr. Bryce for cardboard boxes for our pinhole projectors. And on our way outside, we passed San Antonio papers, which headlined the President and Mrs. Kennedy's pending trip to Dallas. But on that day, in the gravel lot of a small town grocer's, a family turned its back to the sky to watch the moon slide across the sun. This next poem is the first poem in the book, and it was taken at this park. It's called A Portrait in Bronze of the Eclipse. We had not expected metallic light, bunched as we were in our solar glasses, held our hands out beseeching as if to catch the light like drops of rain or hold a robin with both hands. But the light would not be contained. It cast shadows crisp as pencil lines. Ripples skittered over our shoes and across the sand. The air softened like night, and peach clouds rouged the horizon. Then it was gone. It was gone. 3 dreams. In 1960s Kodachrome, 3 sisters less than 3 years apart sit cross-legged, unself-conscious, hair tousled, streaked with sun, play clothes rumpled across their chest. One squints, elbows on knees, the other shades her face, and the third sits straight-backed, blue eyes wide with surprise. 3 sisters, tossed in the air by their father, scamper into a bubbled bath to crowd the tub, hoisted one by their mother, toweled dry, hair fragrant with soap. 3 girls giggle into gowns before supper and stories. Sisters in one bed, loose-limbed, shallowed breaths, curl from each other to dream, dreams that will one day pull them apart. This poem is written for my sisters. I'm the oldest of 5, and the sisters, we are the 3 oldest children. And we're adults now, and grandmothers. And we all miss those times when we were just together. And because of geography and time zones and topography and where our homes are, we cannot be that way anymore, and that's a normal thing for life. So I wrote that to honor that time and to honor my sisters. Baptisms. His family straight as stalks fix their eyes on him like sunflowers follow the sun. Dressed in white, short pants, long socks, he peeked over the pleated shoulder of the black robe, canted his eyes from parents to pastor, who dampened his hair 3 times, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. After the service, I stepped into the light of his mother's smile to pat his back. He circled his dimpled arm around my neck and pressed the petal of his ear to my cheek, and it is I who was anointed. Now, this comes from a child baptized in church, and I cannot see with my eyes anymore, but I could feel this baptism. I felt the pride of the family straining their necks and the pride of the parents. And after the service, and these were new people to church, after the service I went to introduce myself and pat him on his back, and he turned around and reached and came to me, his arm around his neck, and he pressed his ear to my cheek. I was so touched. So this is for the Simmons family. Thank you for that beautiful image. A doe in repose, Beldock, South Carolina. A fresh kill, she looked peaceful, diagonal across the northbound lane. Here, black asphalt whips through tree farms, burnt corn, picked cotton. The 35-mile-per-hour speed limit held vigil as she lay before the abandoned cafe. Last night's storm must have flushed her from safety. Should we stop? We eased beside. Deer ticks rimmed her eyes. The next morning, blood smeared the bent grass and turkey vultures feasted on her carcass. Someone kinder, braver, had dragged her to the ditch. This poem is called Irish Canal Diggers, circa 1820, and it's in memory of the many Irish who built the canal along our river. Recently, there was a monument erected in their honor, and St. Peter's Catholic Church has many of them in their church cemetery. Irish Canal Diggers. Stripped of power by politics and poverty, we sign the manifesto as indentured servants from counties Cork, Kerry, and Clare to board a ship to American prosperity and carve canals around the confluence of the Congaree for work for which slaves were too valuable to spare. We hid our loneliness with fiddles and campfires until death claimed us from fever and exposure. We rest in the riverbank under faded markers, our legacy a city of power and water. Camp Sorghum. In an open field above Saluda Rapids, I guard 1,400 Union officers who dig troughs by hand and cut limbs for shelter. Unfit for service, I was drafted for these last few days. 20 men share a broken fork for meals of rationed cornbread, mostly roughage and weevils. Like them, I eat it raw with sour sorghum. I can't remember when I've been paid, so I take bribes. In rags this winter's day, we march to the walled asylum to wait for Sherman. The next poem is called Cliff Swallows at the Watery River, and it's addressed to you, travelers on the 601 bridge. Colonies of these twittering blue-black bullets stipple their sandcastle nests with 1,000 pellets of mud, oyster beds on concrete girders. They lay their eggs, fledge their young, and then they're gone. And what of these fleeting moments? Do you reverse course to attend? It is for you. It is for you. This poem was written because I was with these friends also, and we would, in April, the cliff swallows come from Argentina, and it's a swirl, a tornado of cliff swallows, and they're scooping down, getting the water. It's magical. But unless I were with these friends, I'm not sure we would have stopped. So we stopped and went around and under and experienced that magic. So this is in honor of that experience. Prayer for my demise, or what I want to be doing on the last day of my life. When the wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting mother, blows the whistle, game over, time's up, she will send a small plane over Manhattan, trailing a banner with my name, and she will handwrite a personal note on engraved stationery to say that I got it, it being the gift of free will. And when that time comes, I want her to find me in a sea of puppies, or surrounded by a circus of children, all named for me in their carousel colors, vying for my lap. And we will be on the grounds of my estate, which will not be named for me, for that would be in poor taste, from the land I will have placed in trust, complete with conservation easements, from the cash award and unlimited use of gerunds from my Nobel Prize. 4, not backing down from a proper fight and even provoking some. And my acceptance speech will go viral and displayed in the Smithsonian to inspire generations of young girls, their fathers, some brothers, and most mothers. Yes, that's how I see it. So this poem is from a prompt from a class, a graduate poetry class I took at the university, and it's based on another poet, Taha Muhammad Ali's Forgot to Say Farewell. And it's the same thing, based on what you would like to have happen on the last day of your life. So that's why I wrote it. I can't think of anything better than to be in a sea of puppies or surrounded by children named after me. Can you beat that? This poem is written in honor of one of my friends. It's called Debbie Doesn't Do That Anymore. And she told a story of what at our age we don't have to do anymore. Debbie doesn't do that anymore. Debbie doesn't do that anymore. Drive 95 to Jacksonville, fuss with lipstick when gloss works fine, suffer our yard or drafty house with predatory power bills. Debbie does not do that anymore. Nor rush in misguided frenzy, nor say yes when she means no, no. Nor seek the spotlight, lets it find her. Nor miss the fun because of chores. Debbie doesn't do that anymore. Nor apologize for more than her share, nor spare a compliment act hostage to anxiety, or hold what cannot be held. No, Debbie does not do that anymore. This next poem is titled The Garden Shed, and it was written in response to our family's garden shed as it aged. The garden shed. Not what it used to be, the garden shed, leaning like an old man on a cane that shelters rusted rakes and broken bricks, wearied of waiting for purpose. Wasps rain from paper cathedrals, and spiders drape a forgiveness across tiny handprints signed and dated. It was born of salvaged lumber. Its latches hold shutters from framed openings smoothed for small hands. A Dutch door swings from a quartet of hinges to divide top from bottom, and for children to ponder, should we make it a ship or a tunnel? Last weekend, the children returned, older now, to patch the leaky roof, oil hinges, sweep away wasps and webs, give bricks new purpose, not as an ordinary walkway to the back door, but maybe a gangplank or path to a secret garden.